Hello, everyone. My name is Wolf. Being gay is really just an attribute about ourselves. Much like my eyes are brown, my hair is gray, my skin is tanned, I'm also tattooed as well. And those are just things that are about me as a person, as an individual, that make me unique from other people, potentially. I love who I am, and I enjoy being gay as well. There's a difference between realizing that you're gay and accepting that you're gay, right? Now, sometimes those things happen pretty quick, right? In a short amount of time. But sometimes it goes on for years. And for me, it was a few years. And part of the reason it took a little bit of time to accept that I was gay was because of the time frame that I grew up in, where being gay would get you ostracized by, a great many people. I was heavy in the church, and that obviously was not going to be accepted at that time. And it was hard to deal with. I started to realize I was gay very, very young, probably 4 or 5. When I was realizing I was gay. And the moment that sticks out in my head, when I really started to discover that, I had a very strong attraction to older men, was my family took us to New Jersey to visit my aunt and uncle, and they took us to the beach there. And seeing older, hairy men was something that just captivated me. I was drawn to them. I was attracted to them. I wanted to get to know them, and those kinds of things. And so it was very young when I started having those types of feelings about older men. I loved going to water parks and things to see hairy men, men without their shirts on and things like that. I really looked forward to that. I had my first gay encounter when I was 16. He was 18. I think that he suspected that I was gay because he himself was dealing with those feelings. But we had a kind of an immediate connection and chemistry. We hung out together all the time. We just did everything together, and it didn't turn sexual at first. We just kind of developed into that. I remember one day we were watching TV, satellite TV, which was relatively new at the time, and he just said, "Hey, can I kiss you?" And I was feeling the same way as he was, and so that's when we first kissed. And I think it was very brave of him, to even ask me, if I wanted to kiss him. I had just accepted Christ as my Savior, so I was very much wanting to be in the church, and the church and society was saying, you can't be gay and love the Lord and all those kinds of things, which is not true. But that's what we were being told, and it really made me nervous. So the first time that we actually had a sexual encounter or a sexual relationship, it scared me, and I terminated the relationship. I stopped seeing him completely, and I never told him why. Not for many, many years. Actually, it was because of Facebook, because we reconnected on Facebook, and I appreciate the fact that he reached out to me and then even asked me, what happened, because he didn't understand. But I got scared and put on the brakes and stopped the relationship. Do I regret it? I regret the way I handled it. I don't regret the times that we had together. I don't regret all the other things. I don't even regret the sexual moment that we shared with each other. It was nice. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot as well. And when I was in college, I tried to be heterosexual. And I was saying tried, because everybody was telling me, everybody's talking about how you should be with a girl and all these kinds of things. And so I tried, and I don't know really what she saw in me, because believe it or not, We dated for 6 months and I never kissed her. I mean, here I am in my early 20s dating a very beautiful girl. She was super beautiful, had beautiful blonde hair, but we never kissed, not once. And I don't know why she stayed with me for so long. But I never had the desire. I didn't want to, really. I didn't feel that way about her. I just enjoyed her company, enjoyed being with her. I enjoyed doing things with her. But I didn't have that same draw that I had towards older men. So I then dated another girl, and I made up my mind that no matter what, I could make this happen. I could make the relationship be successful, because that's what we were told to do. I mean, you're supposed to be with a woman, and if you graduate from college without being married, you're, not somebody or whatever, which is that's all lies. But, I believed those lies at the time. And so I started dating this girl, and we, did kiss and everything. And, eventually we did have sex and everything. And it did lead to a marriage. I mean, I was making myself do these things while at the same time I was still heavily attracted to men. We got married in 1992. And it lasted for 2 years. And the reason it only lasted for 2 years is multiple reasons. One is I realized this was not a good fit. And I also came to the realization that me being married to her was keeping her from being who she needed to be with, right? I wasn't the right person for her. And she wasn't the right person for me. And so I ended it because I fell in love with a man. And he was a straight man, but we had a connection. We spent a lot of time together. Nothing ever came of it because he was straight and married. So nothing happened in that relationship, but I was totally head over heels in love with this guy. And that went on for a while. And the only reason it ended was because one day he took me out to lunch, and he just respectfully asked me to find somebody else to hang out with, that he was understood that I was gay, but that he wasn't, and that was kind of the end of it, right? And so I started looking for a man. That's when I really started pursuing a gay relationship, and that's really when I accepted the fact that I was gay, was that relationship where I had completely fell in love with a man, a love that I never felt for any female that I ever dated, or even the one that I married. No offense to them, but that was the situation. That was when I really accepted that I was gay. So as you can tell, that was many years later. I was in my late 20s. I met a man at work, and it was obvious that he was gay. You could tell by his mannerisms that he was gay. And he also was very open about being gay. He still to this day is very open. And when you meet him, he will tell you in the first conversation you have with him, at some point, it may be 15, 20, 30 minutes, but eventually he's going to let you know he's gay. It's something that he feels very confident about, and something that he feels people should know right up front. So we started dating, and actually our first date we still laugh about it, because we told each other that we would, go out for a walk and pizza. We didn't do any of those things. We went to my apartment and we made out and we had sex the very first night. And it just developed into a relationship from there that lasted 11 years. This is the man who actually taught me how to love. And that may sound like a weird phrase to say, but we actually have to learn how to love. And this man taught me how to love. Forever grateful for him teaching me, and when I say taught how to love, I'm not talking about the sexual aspects. I'm talking about genuinely caring for, meeting the needs of, emotionally supporting, all the aspects that make a relationship last. My coming out was this first LTR. He volunteered it. I didn't volunteer it. I come from a very large family, a very Christian-based family, a very conservative family, a family that doesn't necessarily see life the same way I do, because we have very differing opinions. Love my family to death, though, and they love me. But that doesn't mean we have to see everything the same way, right? So anyway, I had gone home and brought him with me. We were there for one of my niece's weddings. And I was in another room playing games with my brother and all of my nieces and nephews. We were playing The Great Dalmoody. It was a really fun game. And he was in the kitchen, and unbeknownst to me, he was informing my mother, all my sisters, eventually all my brothers, that I was gay and that he and I were in a relationship. I didn't know he was doing this. But on the way home to the hotel that night, he tells me as we get to the hotel, I need to tell you something, Wolf. I outed you to your family. I said, you did what? I told your family that you're gay and that we're in a relationship. And that was a shock, right? Here we are at my family for a wedding, and I get outed, right? So I said, well, how did they take it? And he said, they all love you very, very much. They suspected that was the case, but it didn't really change anything about how they feel about you. And so I thought for a moment, and I said, you're really lucky. He said, why? And I said, this could have gone the other way, and you could have cost me my family. And that would have been a relationship terminating event, because you cost me something that was really very important to me, right? And you didn't give me the opportunity to know this was going to happen or be a part of the conversation. But ultimately, what led to the ending of this relationship is one day I read an email that was on his screen that was written to another guy. And although nothing ever happened between them, they were working on setting up a time when they could be together. And that just broke my heart. I didn't leave him at that time. In fact, we had a discussion about it. I took a vacation for a few days and then came back and decided, let's make this work, because I'm in love with you and I want to make it work. So we made it work for another, 8 years. And, but it got to a point where he couldn't meet my needs sexually. We had there's a sexual compatibility of any two people. You have to be sexually compatible. And over time, we were no longer sexually compatible. And so because he had gone out of the relationship, I felt free that I could go outside the relationship. And so I did. And eventually I met another guy that I developed feelings with. And that's ultimately what led to the end of that long-term relationship, was I met somebody else. I did not end up being with that other person because they didn't feel the same way about me. So a double whammy, right? The last thing I want to share with you is about my latest LTR. We joke to this day that we met at a gay bowling alley. It was gay bowling night. And I was seeing another guy because I was in between relationships, and got introduced to him. And we immediately hit it off. And he was so excited about meeting me that he bowled his highest score. He bowled a 222. And to this day, that is his highest score. And it was because we met at that moment. And after that, I did something that he forever remembers, because one of our first dates after that, we went to the movies. And at that time, I wasn't too concerned about if somebody saw us in public and we kissed or not. I kissed him in the parking lot of that movie theater. And he says, "That guy over there saw us kiss." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." So he still remembers that moment. To me, it didn't matter. I was in love. I wanted to kiss him, and that's what we did. And we did it right in the parking lot of a movie theater. The first night that we were together, we kissed for 4 hours. 4 hours. He is an amazing kisser. And I think that was that special moment when we really, were connecting and stuff. But during that time, he goes, "Can you play some music?" And he goes, "Don't play that romantic music stuff. I want to hear some dance music." And so I put on some dance music, and after a few minutes, he goes, "I really like your taste." And to this day, that's one of the strongest connections we have, is that we both love the same music, and we both love to dance and all those kinds of things as well. So that's kind of my dating life and about my gay life up to this point. And as Deadpool would say, you're all caught up now. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.